This week on Illegal Aliens, Topolsky comes back from hell with a warning, Michael gives Maria the gift of time, and Max trusts movie reviews. The FBI alien hunters are back in town, and we're looking at Crazy, episode 17 of season 1 of Roswell. I'm Chris.
I'm Claire, and this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast. Crazy first aired on April 10th, 2000.
It was written by Thania St. John, who we last saw in the writer's chair for Blind Date. This is the 6th of eight Roswell episodes that Thania wrote.
And it's the first Roswell episode directed by James Whitmore Jr., who will return once in season 2. But Whitmore's IMDb resume stretches from the original 21 Jump Street to The Good Wife, NCIS, and 2 NCIS spin-offs. Let's start the recap.
At the Crashdown, Max and Liz plan a date night together. Once they leave, Maria and Michael, now a short-order cook, close early to get back to his place and make out.
Out in the woods, Max and Liz are interrupted from kissing by Topolsky banging on the car window, with an ominous warning. They go to Michael's place. Michael and Alex argue over whether to trust Topolsky, and Max points out that listening to her advice costs them nothing. Act normal.
At school, Alex tries to charm Isabel into leaning on his shoulder in tough times, but is interrupted by a new girl, Tess, who walks up to their table. Isabel and Tess immediately bond over the virtues of real sugar.
Back at the Evans house, Max tries to offer Michael tips about romance, impressing Tess, who Isabel invited back home. Max and Michael bristle over how quickly Isabel gets close with the stranger, and Isabel needles Max about how things began with Liz.
Liz gets flowers at the Crashdown with a note to meet at Senor Chow's, but instead of Max, it's Topolsky who arrives at her table with warnings about the FBI alien hunter who answers to no one, and how much he already knows about the kids. Topolsky bolts, suggesting a place and a time for a next meeting.
Liz tells Max that she has a say in their next move, since she's on the hunter's list too, and downplays the trick Topolsky played to get her there. Out in the quarry, the 6 kids hold a contentious vote, which seems about to be a draw on the human-alien lines, before Maria takes Michael's side, voting against meeting Topolsky again.
Stood up, Topolsky asks Valenti for help, dropping the name of the alien hunter, Pierce. Valenti is unconvinced of the danger until Topolsky suggests he ask Agent Stevens. Valenti tracks down Stevens' home number, and a wife confirms that Stevens is dead. Valenti wasn't the first to call and ask.
At the Crashdown, Maria is frustrated with Michael and their relationship, and tells him so with a Saturn rings metaphor. Michael suggests going out on a double date with Max and Liz, and Maria is surprised, but pleased.
At the UFO Center, Valenti arrives, talking to Max about crazy people like Hubble, and stresses his own role as a protector. He also repeats the advice about acting normal, and Max says he's heard that a lot lately.
Alex shows up at the Crashdown with videos, but can't interest Liz or Maria, getting ready for their double date, or Isabel, who's planning a girls' night with Tess. Max and Michael arrive with gifts of bath products, but unfortunately Michael's is a bit too generic to be romantic.
Alex walks home and is approached by an ominous car. A voice from the backseat offers friendship and a meeting with Topolsky, but Alex is unconvinced. Valenti arrives in time to spook the car and offers Alex a safe ride home, with no questions.
At the restaurant, Michael tells Maria she'll have to get the bill this time, and storms off after Maria lists all the ways he's failing at romance. He finds his apartment ransacked by Topolsky, who's found the alien orb, and explains that with a second orb she took from the FBI, it can be used as a communicator. She offers to bring hers to the kids, provided they take her with them when the ship comes.
At the quarry, Alex talks about the man from the car, and Michael keeps quiet about his visit from Topolsky. They agree to talk to no one and part ways. Maria and Michael linger to make up.
At the Crashdown, Maria catches Michael looking for car keys in her locker. When she realizes that he's got the orb with him, she insists on going with him, and threatens to call the sheriff if he refuses. Maria also uses the pretext of getting a jacket to slip Liz a warning note to come after them.
Max rounds up the other 4 and follows Michael. Maria convinces Michael to stop and let her out of the car, letting Max catch up. Max punches Michael, sending the stone flying, and they start to wrestle as Isabel tries to stop the fight. Valenti shows up with a stranger, a doctor, who says that Topolsky can't meet them as she's back in treatment across the country. Valenti vouches for the stranger in his story of treating Topolsky in a psych facility.
Max tells Michael that they'll come back for the orb later, but Valenti spots it with a flashlight and picks it up. Later, the Doctor changes shape and leaves his car behind, hiking off with a backpack.
Elsewhere in the woods, Topolsky waits for the kids with her orb, but instead she's found by the ominous car, and the alien hunter congratulates her on leading him to the kids. She protests their innocence as she's bundled into the back of the car, which then drives off.
And that's our episode. So,
Yes.
it's a dark one, really.
It definitely is. Things are getting serious.
Yeah, we've talked a lot over the course of the show about how this channels a noir mystery a lot of the time. But this is, meet Sam Spade the sheriff. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong book. And
Yeah.
it's deep in that cinematic language, this episode. Much more
Yes,
so than
it
normal.
is. Yeah, I was struck very much watching this time by something I think I've noticed before, that there's a lot of talk about whether to trust Topolsky or not.
So much talk about whether or not to trust Topolsky.
And that possibly it's just because the kids are still kids and see Topolsky as an authority figure, but there's kind of this split which is never actually put out, which is, do we trust in Topolsky's good intentions? Do we trust in her competence and her plan?
Does she have a plan, though? I mean, she doesn't really give them much of one beyond, meet me and I'll give you this other communicator that might connect you to your home planet or might send out a bleeping blue thing that connects you to the alien hunter.
Right.
Yeah,
it seems to be when we finally get it, I'll give you the communicators, you call, and we will get picked up by aliens right then.
That's certainly what it sounds like.
Yes.
Which, talking about high-risk strategies in this show, though.
Oh, yes.
We don't even know if the home planet, if humans can live on it, much less if it's welcoming of them at this point. It's all up in the air.
Yes, and also, I mean, even if the plan could work, it is pretty clear that Pierce has sent her out there with the orb as a trap.
Oh yeah, Pierce of the ominous name. I mean, nothing about that is convincing me he should be trusted.
Yes. So it kind of always struck me that if they could separate those two elements, they could get possibly to the point of, okay, Topolsky has good intentions and has information that can help us, but we have to help her first. We have to come up with the right plan.
Yes, and they're still at that stage, I think, that a lot of teenagers are, where it's kind of you against the world, and parents, adults are part of that world and not necessarily on your side. They're still deciphering that. And being hunted down by the secret government agents, probably not helping.
Yeah. And of course, this is one of the other places, possibly the last opportunity, where it would really have been a good idea to go, hey, Isabel, why don't you try dreamwalking Topolsky?
Well, it wouldn't hurt, right? I mean, it's the closest anyone's got to a plan so far. Because what struck me as they're all debating stuff in the quarry is when Michael's first talking about it being a trap, he's going, there is no hunter. All of this is going to lead us into something where they take us into the government and imprison us.
Right.
But, well, that sounds an awful lot like a hunter, Michael.
Yes.
It's just one that's lying in wait,
Yes. Either that or he's trying to make the case that Topolsky herself is the hunter.
Yes. But he's not articulating very well what he's afraid of, I think, because he seems to feel that, no, we're definitely not being hunted, except that, well, we might be caught, but we're not being hunted.
Yeah.
But yeah, it also struck me, too, there's kind of a proportional increase, I think, between the degree of Topolsky's madness and the extent to which the aliens trust her, because when they first meet her in the woods, I don't know how you read the scene or not, maybe we differ on this, she struck me as mostly normal, if slightly heightened, for Topolsky. I mean, you don't typically bang on car windows and say, people are coming, it's all doom and gloom, and also hell happened. But she gets sort of more And more heightened as the show goes on. It's, by the end of it, she almost feels like King Lear on the Heath.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely a something unraveling in her, and I'm wondering if that
Yeah, unraveling is the word.
may be to do with medication that she was getting before she escaped that she's going into withdrawal of or something.
Oh, so this is interesting. So you believe the Doctor, even though he's the shapeshifter, about that theory, or it just makes sense to you?
Um, well, this is possibly going ahead. I do think that the special unit had her in a mental hospital for at least part of the time.
Okay, so they can
And
be somehow corroborated, I guess, yeah.
yeah, yeah, especially since I do have this theory about the shapeshifter and the Doctor because it kind of struck me as odd that he would take that shape and that approach to dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
But kind of clearly Nisado, we'll call him Nisado for the sake of clarity.
Continuity and clarity.
Yes.
We have to call him something, yeah.
Yes. Has got a lot of balls in the air. He doesn't seem as if he was particularly prepared for what's going on in Roswell this week. And the effect of him showing up with Valenti is that the kids never make it to Buckley Point to meet Topolsky, so probably that was what he had in mind.
Yes.
And so if he realizes that, okay, there's a trap, I need them to stay out of it, and doesn't want to actually reveal himself to any of the kids at this point, because clearly that would complicate a lot of other stuff he's got planned.
He definitely has things planned, yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Going to Valenti makes sense, and kind of being able to corroborate this cover about Topolsky being in the hospital does make things fairly straightforward in terms of getting Valenti to trust him. And this is complete speculation on top of speculation, but I am wondering if this man, Margolin,
Yeah.
if he was somebody who Nisado was already practicing impersonating for some other nefarious plan, and it was just, okay, yes, I can use the Margolin, he has already been working with Topolsky, it'll work out here.
Very possibly, I suppose. And I guess if you are a special unit deep in the government, you do need a cover story to explain why your people spontaneously disappear.
Yes.
And if you're Nisado would need to have an extra cover, human cover on the go, why not practice it ahead, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, a special unit doctor would definitely be.
Well, he's very convincing when he turns up.
Yeah, yeah.
But that does seem to be part of the shapeshifter equipment, as it were. Because he's very convincing as Hank, too, previously.
Yeah, yeah, Oh, that is an interesting idea. There's some science fiction stories in which...
Don't mind the thunder in the background. I don't know if it's coming through.
Adds nicely to the mood of the episode.
Yes,
like
it's
the,
cosmic sympathy delivered specially.
Like the pouring rain when when Alex meets Pierce for the first time.
Yes.
Science
Science fiction theory.
The notion of kind of a shapeshifter not just being able to take on the physical appearance, but to have a mental link with a living person who they're impersonating and using that to get the mannerisms and the pattern of speech right and things like that.
But not even necessarily a living person, because as we find out afterwards, Hank is dead.
Yeah, he may have...
although I suppose we don't know when he killed Hank.
For long enough to learn some things and then was able to keep those after Hank was dead.
It's entirely possible, but it certainly feels like he takes on the persona as well as the look of the person.
Yeah. Alternatively, that could just be, of being a very good observer of human nature and a very good actor.
Oh, it's entirely possible. And I mean, the Doctor's a particularly good cover story in this instance because he's not going to tell the aliens at this point that they're not aliens. That's not an option he's got to play with, so he has to find a way to discredit Topolsky.
Right.
And there isn't much of a way otherwise, I think, to say, well, you can't really believe in this because he must know that they've discovered who and what
Yes.
they are by this point if
Right.
they're looking
Yes.
for orbs in the woods.
Yes. Yes. And setting off symbols of glowing symbols of alien icons.
Yes, beaming up blue light into the stratosphere.
Yes.
Which makes me think, actually, given the communicators only work together, what do you think that was doing last episode? Is it just hypersensitive to light?
Yeah, yeah, or it could be some kind of a homing beacon function that's not really part of the communicator as itself. It's just kind of the equivalent of beeping car keys to let you know when you've lost them.
Why not? No, that makes sense to me, yeah.
So, one random question. Exactly why did they decide that Michael's apartment is the safest place for them to keep the orb?
That's my next note. Safe place, exclamation point. I think it might just be that there aren't any adults around.
Yeah, yeah, no
Because
family members to blunder across
Max
it.
has that very telling line much later when he says, there's only 5 people I trust, and they're standing right here.
Yeah,
Which is interesting because apparently he trusts Alex, who he's known, I don't know how long, but who he doesn't agree with about the Topolsky plot more than he does his own parents at this point in time.
right. Yeah, but Alex has been through a lot with him. He was part of the group that was saving Michael's life, and
Oh no, absolutely. It's
has
just
come through with them. Oh yeah, of
it
course.
strikes me as a bit odd.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
given this is Max who was willing to expose his powers to put out a fire in front of his mum.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it has never really seemed that parents blundering into their alien gizmos has been a problem, and you would
Yeah,
think that they might having other people in the home might serve to keep out special unit burglars. Admittedly, they did
well, we've
work with
seen
that one
how that
last
went with
time.
Topolsky.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Literal daylight robbery. But
Yes.
yeah, as
Yes.
parents go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that they don't really have a safe place in town at this point. They are going to find something that will, some place that will work better in the next few episodes.
Yeah, we're getting to our safe place. But in the
Yes, and then we will
meantime,
lose it again.
well, inevitably, yeah. You can't keep them safe all the time. There's no plot that way.
Of course. Yes.
No, I think that's it. Although, yeah, I stand by the Evans parents don't strike me as particularly nosy parents.
Right.
Hank, we
Yes.
might have had more of a problem with, but he's now dead and somewhere in the woods, so.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, we do learn a lot of interesting little details about Topolsky in this episode.
We get her first name for, I think, the first time.
Possibly. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was ever revealed when she was on the show before.
But other details, you had them to.
Yeah. Well, first there's the whole thing about the bit two of how she lures Liz out to the restaurant,
Yes.
which I'm wondering, is Liz very bad at recognizing Max's handwriting, or is Topolsky very good at forging it?
I know, well, it's block writing. It could be anybody's. And I'm thinking, does Liz usually get notes from Max in block capitals? Is his handwriting really that bad?
Possibly.
Who knows?
Mine is atrocious. My printing isn't much better, but
Who knows what alien handwriting is like?
true. Yes. But there's a bit of an inconsistency actually in that she tells Valenti that she only found out about the special unit after her cover was exposed and she left Roswell.
Yeah.
But back in Missing with the journal, she did tell her backup, this is the most credible evidence of aliens that I've found since I joined the unit.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe she means a different unit.
Yeah, possibly she's drawing a distinction between the unit and the special unit, like between agents
Yeah.
and special agents.
I
in
mean,
the
we did
FBI.
say the special unit was many layers deep in the government.
Yeah.
So that's entirely possible and would fit with our many layers deep in noir storytelling
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but I really liked the moment where she was saying that, the problem with being part of this elite few is that they're killing people and
And that's not
nobody
why
can
I
stop
joined the
them.
Force, yeah.
That's not why I became an agent. Yes. So she has this something that she does believe in, possibly that she's there to stop murders and not to enable them.
Yeah, well, and I think this is what makes the sort of tonality of the episode work so much, is they buy completely into that idea that either... because we've talked too, I suppose, about Golden Age stories, and with those, you end up... you use the law to achieve narrative justice. And
Right.
Topolsky, we really come down hard on the side of the law is corrupt, and therefore we're in this fallen world where we have to put it right, whatever
Yes.
the odds from the outside, without the help of the law.
Yeah.
She's been disbarred or banned or whatever the word is.
Right. Yes, disenfranchised and
Yeah,
powered.
this is no longer her world. She's got to
Yeah.
find other means of helping.
Yeah. And one somewhat odd notion is, was Topolsky too idealistic and naive to realize that the unit would be remorseless killers when she first got involved with them? It's
I,
something that I think
yeah.
we're all cued to expect, but we're cued to expect that partly because if we know what kind of show we're watching, and she doesn't necessarily have that
Yeah,
context.
well, and also the aliens have been cued to expect it from almost before we met them. They've been
Right.
talking from the pilot episode about the day they'll have to pack up and flee Roswell because the
Yeah.
government might be after them. So that's very
Yeah.
much a reality they have, and I think that might be one of those things where you don't quite know the whole of a story unless you're living it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, but as they say, kind of simply the fact that they are orphaned does it's very evocative, the question of, what exactly happened to the adult aliens.
Yes, that left 3 children stranded in the desert.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd love the story for what Topolsky thought she was getting into exactly, tracking down these children.
Yeah.
But she does think, there might be something to her naivety, because she does seem to think she's helping them. Even when she leaves, she says, I was on your side. And
Right.
we doubted that, but retrospectively, maybe she meant it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think that even at that point, I was trusting in her good intentions again, if not her competence.
Yeah, well, definitely not in that.
And
Although she's shockingly more competent as a rogue agent. She's not convincing the aliens to take her side, but she seems to have more efficacy running around achieving stuff.
well, yeah, either that or it's just that Pierce is giving her the illusion of competence to try and make the trap attractive.
Yes, yeah, I suppose that's also possible.
Because somehow I really doubt that she was actually able to steal the orb on her own initiative. That was something that Pierce planted with her and allowed her to walk out with. I somehow have very little doubt about that.
Oh, surely. Because otherwise it doesn't really hold water.
Yeah.
The special agents seem to be very deep in research but unable to find these kids. So the
Right.
idea that they would go, we'll turn a blind eye to that, you will bring them to us, and we'll have our work mostly done,
Yeah.
is much more plausible, I think, than Topolsky successfully infiltrating this double plus special unit, walking out with
Yeah.
that thing, and then running around Roswell wreaking merry havoc for a couple of weeks, days, whatever we're at.
Yes. Yeah, I did like what she said to Valenti that it kind of wasn't so much about we haven't been able to find these kids. It's kind of, we're the special unit is still not sure how to approach them without biting off more than they can chew.
Yes, they're still very much an unknown quantity.
Yes.
Which is, I suppose, mostly they really are normal kids,
Yeah.
except when they're not.
Right.
Explaining
Because I
that.
very much liked the Noir notion of the alien hunters list and the fact that it's to a certain extent binding the 7 of them together, even though there's still a lot of distrust between Valenti and the 6 kids.
Oh, 8, I'm sure. Topolsky's name has to be on there by now, too.
I suppose, yeah. She didn't mention it for herself, but it does make sense.
Well, but she wants to be on that ship with them when it comes in.
Right.
So either she's planning a coup against alien planet unknown, or...
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Which she might be. I'm not convinced it would succeed, but she could be. I'm very hard on Topolsky this episode, apparently.
You are, yeah.
She does
And
try.
Yes. And I have to admit, I'm wondering exactly what the story is with Stevens. Why, if he was actually trying to get out of the special unit, or if not, exactly what it was that led to his death.
Oh, yes, that's my other note. Do I really want to know how one gets rid of one's enemies piecemeal?
Right.
It sounds fairly gruesome, but
Yeah.
yeah. Stevens was definitely not on the alien side last time we met him.
No. No.
He was taking Valenti's files, and he didn't appear to be on Valenti's side either, actually, now that I think about it.
No. No. And the last we heard of him, he was planning to go into the woods to figure out what was going on with the sighting.
So, yeah, I don't know what changed between then and now, but
Yes.
something dire, apparently.
Yeah, I do wonder if it was possibly him actually wanting to get further in, if he was actually planning a coup against Pierce and got caught at it.
Oh, maybe.
Would not be surprised to find that kind of thing going on in the special unit.
No, I wouldn't either. It seems like it's very much dog against dog, from what
Yeah,
we've been able to gather about it so far.
yeah. And I have to admit, I'm always very disappointed with kind of the kids all drawing closer together, except that Michael is still going and doing things stupid by himself.
Yes, but Michael. Michael is not, as this episode is so determined to beat us over the head with, a communicative person, really.
Right.
He is not the demonstrative, ebullient personality that. Well, but thinking that neither is Isabel, so I don't really know. But Isabel has people, Isabel has family. I think that's sort of the difference, maybe.
Right.
Michael's roots are fewer.
Yeah, yeah, but he does have this growing connection with Maria, which does kind of save them all from disaster at the end.
It does. Although, I'm a bit entertained by it, because I feel like we call out a lot of previous episodes in this one. And Maria getting into that car with him absolutely feels like a reference.
All the way back to 285 South?
Yeah, and they're having this argument, and I'm going, you've had this argument before, and I swear you had it backwards the last time you had it.
Well, they've got to make it fresh this time.
Yeah. No, it's good, and I like that this time before getting in the car and going God knows where, Maria finds a ruse to conveniently leave a note.
Yes.
Because she's not having this cell phone thrown out the window, thanks very much.
Yes, yes.
But also, Michael has learned nothing about how to steal Maria's keys either.
No.
Or that, she'll notice.
And we have Tess showing up in town and interrupting Michael as he's just on the verge of impressing Isabel at least twice.
Poor Alex. He has terrible
Yes.
luck this episode.
He
No one
does.
will watch Notting Hill with him.
No.
Which... I don't know.
Yes. I did wonder exactly what Liz and Maria had against Scream 2.
I haven't even seen the first one, so I can't enlighten you on that.
Right. And yeah, I did think it was interesting that when she was talking about how much Alex was willing to sacrifice for her, Isabel called Michael her brother, which I don't think she's ever put in those terms before.
Yes, I don't think we've ever made that explicit. I mean, it's a subtext that's been pretty rapidly becoming text, but
Yes.
yeah, we haven't had it articulated quite like that. But it's...
And yep.
It strikes me as interesting, too, what she says about feeling that she can't afford to be vulnerable with people or even really let them in, because a surface reading of Isabel does sort of suggest that she's a fairly, I don't know, warm person? Communicative, talkative sometimes. She certainly has
Right.
friends, more than the rest of our aliens, even if we haven't seen them in a while. But that suggests that she does that all as a kind of facade.
Yeah.
Which I do believe, but, we haven't really given that a lot of time before now.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of the notion that being independent, that relying on nothing actually gives her strength. I don't think I really believe, though I can understand.
I can understand her
Why-
wanting to believe it.
Yeah, yeah. But generally, I think that they're all starting to realize that they're stronger together.
Yes, very much so.
Though Michael's a little bit late getting the memo.
Yeah, well, just a tad. Maria does try to give him some very obvious clues. They have neon flashing signs.
Yes.
But I don't think they're showing up so well or something.
Yes. Yes, and I do I'm very much struck by the parallels between the three couples at this point, in that we have Max and Liz who are very close and solid at this point, even when they're arguing about what to do about Topolsky and about the Senior Chow's ruse and that. And we have Alex and Isabel who can't manage to get off the ground, not for want of trying on Alex's part.
Yes.
And Michael and Marie who are just stuck in the back and forth, that they're not.
Well, they're too wise to woo peaceably, those two. I think
Yes.
I'd miss it if they were suddenly getting along all of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, I love Alex's earnestness, and I like seeing Max and Liz really working as a couple, but I do find Michael and Maria that little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Because there just seems to be so much more that they're trying to navigate, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
If and when we ever give Alex and Isabel things to do, I'm sure that'll also be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just need them to have a conversation that doesn't also involve Tess. Much as I like Tess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, I did find the ending a little confusing, just kind of with the two different cars out in the woods that are not that easy to de-thread.
Yes. Or even identify. It's pretty dark wherever they've got to.
True, yes. And in the very ending scene with Topolsky and Pierce's stretch limo or whatever.
Whatever that thing is.
It's quite clear to me that the person who comes out of the car and pushes her inside never gets back in himself before the car drives away.
So we just leave him in Roswell to do groundwork, do we?
Possibly. We are going to have a few men in blue suits wandering around for the next few episodes.
Well, maybe he's one of those. I mean, it's that, or he might be in a reference I'm sure only fellow Buffy watchers will get, doing the equivalent of pushing the Giles mobile along the road for purposes of film.
Right.
No, I'm sure it isn't that.
Yes.
He's probably one of our blue-suited people. We'll have to keep a track on that.
Yep. And speaking of, this is something that might not have been clear to you since you say that you've always watched it on the DVDs, but there was definitely a long gap between this and Sexual Healing. It was at least a month of No New Roswell.
Yeah, no, I never watched this live, so I would never have had that problem.
Yeah, and there doesn't seem to be that much that we've missed in the time that's passed. Clearly, Max and Liz have gotten a lot more comfortable with their new status quo.
Yes. Michael and Maria, too, even if she does want a fairy tale in this episode.
Yeah, I do think that if Max can sort out a good lesson plan, Michael might actually benefit from more of Max's teaching.
Well, yeah, that needs to happen.
Especially in terms of how to select a romantic gift when you're on a budget.
Yes. I don't know why Max didn't do that in the store. He had the perfect opportunity, right? Because obviously what happened was Max went, hang on a minute, I have to buy Liz a gift. And Michael went, oh, bother, so do I. I'll buy this generic thing. And Max didn't feel the need to turn around and go, no, not that one, this one.
Either that, or Michael did not actually say why he was buying the shampoo, and Max assumed that Michael did it for himself.
Shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah.
Why not?
That hair does not take care of itself.
No, I suppose it wouldn't. This is very true. But that might also be because Michael's not putting in the effort. I don't know. Although I shouldn't say that. He does have curtains.
Yes.
And they don't look like Isabel bought them, so...
Right.
Maybe. Anything's possible.
All right. So, should we talk about favorite moments?
I think so. I think we've covered most of the discussion, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh, except for, I have one question to put to you.
Okay.
It's not a timeline one, just to be novel. What kind of hours does the Crashdown keep? What happens to it when all of its staff go off on a midnight adventure into the woods?
Yeah, that is definitely a good point. We don't know for sure that there isn't...
I mean, we know that...
Another
is she called Kathy, the other co-worker that we haven't seen since episode 2? But they're on a rota, right?
Yes.
Like, they're not all on at
Right.
once.
True. Yeah, I did wonder about that, especially at the beginning where Maria and Michael just choose to close the cafe early, which, you would think that Liz's parents would have some stern words about that,
Well, you would think
even
so.
if they're locking up.
Table 5 never
Yeah.
did get to wait their order.
No.
Right. But favourite things. Do you have one you'd like to start with?
Yes, I do. I love that first scene between the six of them out at the quarry, and particularly the vote, since it's kind of the first time that they acknowledge in text that they all have an equal say in a decision like this, and that they're trying at least to avoid the distinction of, okay, we're aliens and you're humans. Admittedly, it does color people's opinions about the decision at hand.
Yeah, but we get the sense that when they divide along those lines, it's not because half are human and half are alien. It's more complicated reasons than that, too.
Yeah, yeah. Though possibly the fact that the alien kids grew up being afraid means that they are naturally more cautious and less able to trust easily.
Oh, no, I'd completely agree with that. I mean, what is it Isabel says? If you think you have any idea what it's like to be
Right.
us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've just always been afraid.
Yes. Yes, and I definitely loved the bit with Maria casting her vote and kind of the suggestion both that she's wanting to show support to Michael and that she really doesn't want to put them in a situation where it's a tie vote and nothing is resolved.
Yes. And it was her idea, too, to have the vote in the first place.
Right.
It's Maria that says, all right, we'll vote. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So she's really making that effort, I think.
Yes. Yes. And friend of the show, Simone, actually also selected that episode as her favorite, saying, because there are so many moments in the show, I wish so much all three couples would be happy at the same time for once. I like the
Yeah.
three family of them working together like siblings.
Yes. No, it's a really solid, really lovely moment between all of them. We don't get
Yes.
many like that at the moment.
True.
Now, if picking is hard, I think if I were going by scenes, I really love the moment Alex and Isabel share at the end, where she says, "I hope you don't mind, but I don't want to be alone."
Right.
And I mean, it's not that we've not seen Isabel vulnerable before, but I think I love her openness there.
Yeah.
And from it's we've almost got a three beat with those two, and just for once, she's seeking him out.
Yes. And Tess does not
And
interrupt.
Tess doesn't interrupt. You're right. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, though Max very soon comes and tells them that they have to drive off to Buckley Point to stop Michael from doing something stupid.
Yes, but before that, they're enjoying a nice bit of quality time, and I'm glad.
Yes. Okay.
So
And
that brings us to MVP.
yes, and I'm definitely going to put forward Julie Benz. She definitely contributes a lot to this episode, and it's our last opportunity to recognize her in Roswell. So
It is, and she definitely deserves recognition. She delivers a really good performance here, and she has in the
yeah,
past too. Whatever I think about
right.
her ability to get stuff done, she's a
Yes,
great character.
yeah. So no objection.
No objection at all.
All
No.
right. And now we need to pick ratings.
Well,
And
go on.
I think I'm actually going to give it 6 bottles of shampoo and conditioner in one.
Sounds good. I will give it um 5 what's the word for them? Flower bouquets.
Five flower
Five
bouquets.
surprise flower displays, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
And that brings us to if you agree or disagree with us, you can get in touch via Twitter at alienscast or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/alienscast or visit our blog at alienscast.com.
Or you can get in touch by email at illegalalienscast@gmail.com and suggest anything you'd like us to discuss on the episode. You can send in audio files. We will play them.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please link to us on your blog, on Twitter, Facebook, wherever else you are on the internet. You can leave us a review on iTunes and help other Roswellians find us. Our theme music is Epic Trailer Intro by Honey Lemon.
This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Find out more by searching for Creative Commons. I'm Chris Calworth.
And I'm Claire, and this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast. Join us on Monday, August 28th for a discussion of the 18th episode of Season 1, Tess, Lies, and Videotape.
In which it's all about Tess, and everybody's on candid camera.
I'd forgotten that.